Welcome everyone back to Ford Operating Base Lake Fork. I am Greg Hill. I'm your host of your fishing show today. Today is May the 29th, 2022. I'm out here on beautiful Lake Fork as usual. Just came out, do some scouting around and some fishing, and had to take the time to shoot the video. I'm a little behind on my videos, and I had another one, and I just didn't. It took me 3 or 4 days for me to kind of get the editing done, and it was kind of late to post, so I didn't post it. So I just shot another one. Just talking about the fishing that's been going on, but I want to kind of say congratulations to Mr. Lee Livesey, out here. He local guide who had fished out here for a long time. He's fishing the Bassmasters Elite, and he won for the 2nd year in a row out here. I mean, what a performance! So congratulations. I hope a lot more success in the future. I wasn't able to go out in the lake and kind of do any kind of spectator fishing with people, but it was great to watch people and great to see people. People coming up and down the lake. It looked like everybody was enjoying themselves, and it looked like what they put on with the SRA was really good. I know everyone's probably really looking forward to that whole new complex that SRA is building. I'm not sure when it's supposed to be ready for them to kind of host those type of fishing events yet, but I know everyone's looking forward to it. But let's get on with the fishing report. So, look, today the water, it's 84 degrees where I am. The water temperature where I am. We're sitting at basically about 5.5 feet below pool right now. So the water is still low. We had some rain, it came up a little bit, came down. There's a lot of vegetation. You can't really see it, but I'm looking at the bank here. I'm looking at banks and points that were usually pretty clean, and they've got a lot of vegetation on them now. So when the water comes up, there's going to be a lot of vegetation in the water. So we'll see how that plays out. But just going over the last couple weeks trips, caught a good, some good fish. Hadn't had a double-digit fish yet, so man, I mean, it's just hard for me. It's the spawn. I didn't not as many double-digit fish this year during the spawn for me as last year, but like this Lake Fork, the spawn was completely different. Caught a lot of fish over 8 pounds, but really didn't match that. Didn't get a double-digit. I had one client that's a regular client of mine, and I had found a big fish and kind of held it for him, and sure enough, we went back the next day, 2 days later, and it was still there. We were able to catch the male, kind of pull him up, and as soon as the male got caught, the female got right on the bed. So we pitched back in there again, and he hooked into the female. Pretty much fish of a lifetime. I think it was over 12. I mean, we only got one really good look at it, but it was so big, I just immediately went and got the net, kind of letting him fight the fish. I wanted to get the net right away, and as soon as I came back up, the fish had kind of came unpegged. So I think it was just the hook set probably didn't get deep enough into some cartilage, and it probably got a skin hook maybe, and it just broke that skin. It was just a huge fish pulling. So I mean, that's Lake Fork though, man. There's a lot of people screaming good things and a lot of people screaming some obscenities sometimes when they miss that fish. There's a lot of broken hearts out here on Lake Fork. She dishes them out. So let's get into the fishing now. So for the last couple of weeks, I was still catching some spawn fish, and a matter of fact, yesterday my client caught a fish that was just under 24 inches with actually blood coming out of its tail. So that fish, either one, had just finished spawning. It wasn't full of eggs. It had spawned out a little bit. I'm not really sure if it was completely spawned out, but it was a main lake fish, basically a main lake spawn fish. And it was a great fish, and but it just shows you there's still some late spawners maybe going on right now. And I'm not convinced. I went to one of my areas 2 days ago that I had been doing a lot of spawn fishing, and I really didn't see very much there. So I think a lot of the places that at least I was going have kind of finished spawning out. The fish are pulling out. Obviously, what we saw during the Bassmasters Elite showed that they are pulling out, and they're getting back on the deeper water. So it gets back into different things you could be doing, but I'm going to go with what I've been doing. So look, jigs, of course. So throwing 2 kinds of jigs right now, and you have to think about this when you're throwing your jigs, what kind of cover you're throwing to. So one, you can get your jigs that have the kind of a pointy nose on it. You can see this jig right here. Look, it's got a pointy head on it. It's got a rattle on it. It's going to be able to come through the cover. It's going to be able to come through all the, the branches, make it a little better. So, which is compared to the big, football head jig, sand tone football head. You know, I mean, I throw different football heads, but Santones are one that I throw pretty regularly. You know, I kind of tend to go for the crawfish colors in the water that's more clear. A little darker, I will darken it up, you know, and I'll go with some darker purples and dark blues, just so the fish can get a visibility of it. But in the clear water, I like to kind of have it, you know, this is called Mexican heather, and this one is basically called bullfrog. But there's a number of colors, but I'd like to have a little of the green and the gold in it to kind of look like a bluegill. And I'll put a trailer on it that makes it look like a bluegill. You know, I'll have like a pumpkin seed trailer on it. You can put a crawfish on there, but you know, it's just more like you're working it. You can hop it and everything. Like here's a rattling pointy nose one. So you know, playing the weight based on depth of water and the cover, but generally speaking, I throw a pretty heavy jig. You know, if I'm trying to swim and jig, so swim and jig through trees or in the brush piles, you know, that's, you know, right now that's kind of what we're doing. You go out these brush piles, the fish are, the bass are definitely hanging around some of these bluegill beds. I've covered this in the past episodes before, you know, last year during the same time period, about what you can do in the morning and get on these bluegill beds, but I'll go through that when I get to that phase of it. So the other things you can be throwing, I mean, my clients had the other day, I said, you know, what are we going to do? I said, we're going to throw big worms. And I say big worms, I mean 12-inch worms. My newspaper article that's in the Lake Fork Area News, you know, I go into depth about this, but you know, look, big worms, big fish. And matter of fact, we were catching unders yesterday on 12-inch worms. So, and one of the things that kind of we took out of that, one thing that happened was we were catching those unders on them with, we had them Texas rigged. I wasn't getting them on the football head, you know, jig, so like a jig head, I wasn't getting it. So, you know, it's kind of interesting that a Texas rigged with non-pegged weight was still catching unders. And I think maybe we talked about it a little bit. You know, I think that fish can grab it, even the under will grab that lure, kind of get it in his mouth, but he's not feeling the weight yet. He's just pulling the line through. So I think that's a difference between if you're pegging or not pegging. That fish might not feel the weight, and it might keep it in its mouth longer because it's not feeling that excess weight, you know, banging around. So, but big worms on shaky heads, you know, basically football head, you know, heads and Texas rigs, all those type of techniques. Today I caught the fish on this. It wasn't as big of a worm. I was pitching and flipping some other closer cover. This is just an 8-inch, you know, ribbon tail worm, kind of a purple and blue flake. So that's one of the things I was throwing in some shallower water today. And look, and just yesterday we caught fish all the way from 2 feet deep to about 16 feet deep. So it could be even deeper. I know that they were catching fish deeper, I think, during the Bassmaster Elite tournament. One of the other things too is things that as these fish are moving out, look, they're going to get on the points. You're fish at them, and that's what we'll talk about now. Is basically, you know, what would I do with my normal day? What am I normally doing? I'm normally going out in the morning, looking for some wind-blown points if I can find it. And I'm throwing some top water. Why? Because I love fishing top water. You know, generally speaking, my clients love catching fish on top water. So I'm going to throw top water as soon as I can in the morning. Going out early in the morning, try to get a top water bite. If the top water's not biting right then, we can throw a jig up in there. But a lot of things I'm doing is throwing a Carolina rig. When I'm Carolina rigging, you know, with a fluke on, about a 3.5 or 4 foot leader. I've got the tail dyed chartreuse, and it's just a red flake. You know, it's just a red flake fluke. So, you know, pretty easy to throw. It's pretty easy. I mean, just throw down the wind-blown points. You should be able to feel it. I have a 50-pound braid with a 20-pound fluoro leader, and with a 1-ounce tungsten weight. Just drag it across. You can feel every single bite, every single little bump that thing comes through. So, you know, you know exactly what the bottom contours are there. So, look, so in the morning, and after I'll move out, you can look. Also, though, you can throw some rattle traps. I got one rattle trap, but I didn't pull it out here. The other thing you can throw is throwing up in that shallow water. I would throwing out like a shad color chatterbait up in there. Now, this is a crawfish color chatterbait, but this will come later, what I say, what I'm doing. So you get your morning bite, fish the morning bite, and then decide if you're gonna make a decision. You're either gonna stay in shallow or you're gonna go out deep. If you wanna keep fishing kind of a semi-shallow water or move out to 10 feet, look, right now, I just went down the bank looking for the bluegill beds. They're definitely there. I caught one fish bite. It wasn't big, it was like 2 pounds. But again, anywhere near those bluegill beds, I would be throwing kind of like this swimming bluegill colored jig. I'll be throwing this basically a blade bait that comes through there, looking with those colors, orange and greens. And little crankbaits. I don't have one out, but little crankbaits that are in that color if you want to bring them through there. And then big worms. Look, the elites, they were throwing big 12-inch worms around those beds and just dragging them through it. Now they were looking for a lot of the deeper bluegill beds, 8 to 10 feet, I think. And that's what I've seen them also, but I haven't thrown as much as those. I've seen them on the main lake, but here back in the shallow water, they're generally about, they're 4 to 5 feet deep, but it's still pretty good depth. Hop those jigs through there. They hit that jig on when I was actually hopping it. Right when I moved it aggressively, that's when they hit it. So they probably thought it was some bluegill that was being chased by another bass. Got chased right in front of him, and then they hit it. So okay, and then we're gonna say, well, we're gonna have to move out to the deeper water. So if I move out to the deeper water, I'm going to be throwing the jigs like we already talked again. The weights can be based on, how deep the water is and the winds. But, I like to throw the bigger ones like I showed you before. And then the other thing about the jig is the type of cover. So those big football head jigs, great for open areas, clay points, all that type of stuff. They're not that good in any brush piles. So I go with a more pointed one, or some kind of lure that has a kind of a pointing, jig that has a more pointed on, so that can hop it through those brush piles. Those brush piles are either bluegill or crappie. You're going to get into them. You go down to them, and you're going to stroke it. You put it out there, get it nearby, and give it a couple jerks. Look at it, make it look like it's some bluegill that's being chased out of there, and hopefully the bass will hit it right out of there, right out of that stroking it out of there. That's I guess you can basically cause them, you can force them to bite it that way. If you move it too slow, they might not hit it. They just might not hit it. You can try both, but I'd always be stroking it a couple times when you get in those brush piles. So then we go out to the deeper water. And so yesterday I was fishing with clients. We went to a rock pile that's in probably like 10 feet of water, and caught a really nice fish there on a big worm. And basically I was on a blue fleck, black fleck, color, black blue fleck color. So look, big worms again, big fish. So, and then 2 days ago I caught my first Alabama rig fish. So I was pretty happy about that. They are starting to school up in some areas. They were really isolated. They weren't a lot there. There weren't the big schools I was looking for, but there were some fish chasing around some bait fish. So you can start getting to Alabama rigging if you like doing that with your forward-facing sonars. So we get into deep water again. I told you about the worms, crankbaits. So catch them on crankbaits as well. So look, big deep diving crankbaits. This is just going to be that time of year. I like the blues, with the chartreuse colors for the deeper water. Now, if you get into the really clear water and you're going down the main lake areas, look, you can get the ones that have just look exactly like a barfish pattern. And I really like this time of year too, when they're in the clear water. So it's basically it's a primary bait fish for them. They're down there eating it. It's something they're used to seeing. So basically, it's going to be something you'll not be using to catch it. So, okay, so I talked about what I'm doing for deep water, what I'm doing for the shallow water. It's just trailers on the jigs I didn't talk about, but look, any type of trailer. I mean, I'm trying to make mine look more like bluegill than crawfish right now. So but I'll still throw a rage tail. I'll still throw some other kind of trailers on them. I even put like a baby brush hog on them sometimes to give them a little kick in there. But the bottom line is, you can go out and fish right now in a number of different ways. But look, I would get out here early. If I was going bass fishing, I would definitely get up early. There's a lot of people coming out, and then there's a lot of people that there's only so many good points, and there's only so many good wind-blown banks, so you'll be fighting for it if you don't get to one early. And after that, choose what you're going to do. Move out, to the 8 to 10 foot range. Move out as it the fish move a little deeper, and then get into that 15, 16, 17 feet. Use your electronics. Look, right now your electronics are your friend. You use your side imaging. Mostly I use my side imaging, but down imaging is the same thing. 2D and down imaging, you can use that in the really deeper water when you go over some points, the deep underwater points. But I just haven't really found big schools yet out in the deep water. I've seen some isolated schools, like maybe 6 to 7 fish in them, but I'm not seeing the big schools yet. This just isn't, at least I haven't found them yet, the big schools. Even the ones that I was catching, like I said, on the Alabama ring, there's 3 or 4 that were in that school. Now there were a couple big fish down there, and I couldn't even bite. They kind of ran off. They got spooked off. It seemed like when I got the lure too close to them, they ran away. But maybe they weren't bass. Sometimes you can't tell. But look, I'm gonna kind of end it here, but I just want to tell everyone, look, I'm gonna try to do a better job keeping my regular YouTube videos going. You know, trying to do everything else I'm doing and trying to edit this stuff, and you know, I think I've conquered all my software editing problems, so I think I'm pretty good on that now. So hopefully I'll keep it pretty regularly from now on. So look, I'm Greg Hill. This is Forward Operating Base Lake Fork. I really enjoy sharing my information with you guys. I hope you guys come out and fish at Lake Fork. If you're looking for a guide trip, don't hesitate to give me a call. Go to my website, www.foblakefork.com. That's foblakefork.com. And you know, send me an email, send me Instagram. You can see me on Facebook, all that type of stuff. Go to my website, you can see all my social media on there. But really look forward to fishing with you, and you guys have a great fishing day. There it goes. All that work for you, man. Oh, he's a healthy one. He's not huge, but he's not a keeper. It's a lot of fun catching all this top water. I tell you, you know, I just love top water fishing. You know, top water fishing, bed fishing. I mean, it's always fun watching the fish hit your lures. This guy is not big. We'll weigh him. Let's see what he comes in at. There you go. There's another one. Got right on top. Ooh, nice one. Ooh. All right. Nothing like catching them on top water in the middle of the day. Man, that's just so much fun. It's so much fun. Oh, here he comes. All right, you got it. You got it in here. In the boat. Oh, oh boy, man. Another nice one. Another post spawn. Ooh, ooh, holy cow. Gotta try to get this guy button. Got a little bit of blood coming out. You got one of the hooks down inside of him. Oh, you got blood all in my pants. Oh. Let me get you all healed up here, bud. Oh, got it. Ooh. There we go. It's kind of stuck in there. There we go. This is a good one. This one's not coming up, and I don't know, it's running for the deep water. Oh boy. Oh boy. Whoa. Oh, there we go. Nice fish. Ooh. There we go. And there is another nice one. This time on the Carolina rig. This guy is fat, and fat. Let's see what he's got going on down in there. If I can get this. Just want to try to saw it. Got down in his gullet. There we go. Almost got it. And there it is. Ah, really, another really fat fish. I mean, it's over 16, but this was a nice fish. So there you go, Carolina rigging, windy points, top water bite plus this bite. So just kind of dragging it real slow across there. So, there you go, buddy. Let's give him a picture. Mark on there. You can joke around now. What do you guys here? Give a face slap.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, I got it.